Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's Lisa Adams and our Caregiver Connections, and I just realized I did not plug in my microphone. So excuse me here while I do that. There we hear me a little bit better. So welcome. We are here today to introduce everybody to our new caregiver coach in Calgary, Karen. And Karen is not only a wonderful person to have as an addition to Caregivers Alberta, but she actually has her own caregiving journey. And she actually just comes from working with the Dementia Network in Calgary as well and facilitating peer groups. So I can't wait to learn more about all the wonderful things that she does. But Karen, why don't you just share a little bit about who you are and maybe what you're comfortable in sharing with regards to your own caregiving journey?
Caregiving journey, yes. So yeah, thank you, Lisa. This is great. I mean, it's my first week and it's exciting to be part of the team and learning all about things. So yeah, I am actually an industrial organizational psychologist. And so kind of doing caregiving and things like that.
What does that mean? Because many of us don't even know what that means. I had to Google it when I actually heard about
when you heard it. So my specialty is really working with how organizations work together, how work affects people's lives. And my focus was primarily actually on career transitions and various transitions and how that affects people. Right down to, I worked a lot with cancer patients. That was most of my research areas, was how does leaving the workforce for a while and then returning, how does that affect your life? So these are a lot of things that actually are very applicable to caregivers as well.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than what my title is, I've been working for many years kind of as a caregiver in my personal life. I think I've always been a caregiver since I was really young. But I do have kind of an acute over the last 6 years. I do have one of my family members has quite severe mental health issues, and learning what it was like to go through the system here in Calgary. I pretty much every option that is available for people who are suffering primarily from anxiety, depression, and that type of stuff with the youth people, with the youth, getting tongue-tied, youth market. So,
not a problem.
Yes.
Not a problem. So one of the things that I would love to kind of talk to you about is, because yes, you've been an acute caregiver, but one of the things that you actually did for some reprieve or some self-care, you went on this fabulous journey to Nepal. And I don't think anybody's actually going to realize when they hear what happens in your thought process between your caregiving journey and going to Nepal. So would you like to share that with everyone?
Sure. So I've actually been doing work in Nepal for about 10 years now, and it's very much, it's humanitarian work, and I love doing it, and it's kind of become the thing that fills my bucket. And I guess it was probably 2014, and I was at a point with my caregiving journey that it was like, okay, I'm going to wind up in the hospital myself if I don't do something. And so luckily, I got some respite here and support, and I went to Nepal. And that was kind of my break from doing everything. Most people say, you're crazy to go and do something like that. I go to really remote villages and that type of thing. But just before I was on my way back, I was in Kathmandu, and this would have been 2015. And that is actually when their really major earthquake hit. So 7.8 earthquake hit. And it was quite chaotic. There's buildings falling down around me. There's people dying. I was there for a few days after that, kind of helping out. And I kind of compare that to caregiving. And it was actually easier for me to be dealing with everything in that chaos around me at that time than it was to be a caregiver.
So just to stop and just repeat that. you would rather be in an environment that has had an environmental emergency and had buildings collapsing and people dying, and you compare that to being a caregiver. I think that is truly fascinating. And saying that you would rather be in Nepal with the earthquake and supporting them there than actually really thinking about your own caregiving journey. And I think that's really important to recognize for the caregivers that are out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'd rather be there. It was easier to be there. There's a difference. So yeah, because you're dealing with acute situations versus dealing with being a long-term caregiver where you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You never know what you're going to do. And it's emotional. This is part of your family. It is so emotional. And yeah, so as a caregiver, it is a challenging journey.
Right. Sure. So now let's bring us to what you're going to be doing in Calgary as a caregiver coach, because I'm super excited about this because I have been the caregiver coach at Caregivers Alberta now for over a year. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge piece of what we do. And what it has really, really done for me and the awareness around caregivers is that caregivers are going on their own mental health journey.
Yes.
And that caregiving, and I say it quite often now, is going through a trauma. We don't ask for our loved one to be ill or have a disability. And when we do, it's really traumatic if you think about it and what we go through. So what I've recognized is by helping and starting to go through the process to help our caregivers, we really need to take them on a journey to really build up their toolbox, per se, to really help them. And I would love to know how you're going to do that, because we're starting, we have a lot of caregivers from Calgary, but we're starting with a brand new position specifically for Calgary. And what is that going to look like? What is your vision of you being a caregiver coach in Calgary and how you can help the people there?
Yeah, well, the Calgary again, what's going on here in Calgary? I actually worked, as you said, with the Dementia Network. I'm still a caregiver facilitator for groups with the Alzheimer's Society as well. So I see the impact that's happening on the caregivers in this group. That is a focus for me. So taking these types of things that are available and expanding them out to other groups. So really, it's our goal to fill in the gaps. It's our goal to, if there's groups that aren't able to provide this type of support that caregivers need, that's where we'd like to be in there, whether it's with support groups, whether it's one-on-one counseling, whether it's information, advocacy, really trying to get the people in Calgary able to live their fullest lives as a caregiver and know that they are important. They need to be taken care of. And if they're not taking care of themselves, they're not going to be as effective as a caregiver.
Right. And, one of the greatest things that I think that we can do is really be that validation place, because so many caregivers feel like they're alone and they're on the journey by themselves. And we know that tomorrow is Mental Health Day. It's my favorite time of year because people do not have to be scared to talk about their mental health and the stigma that comes around it. And I advocate for mental health, and I do so. And I'm really fortunate to be able to go on big stages in front of 450 people and talk about my own family's mental health journey. And we do that so that if we can impact and change one person's life, then that's really amazing, right? So one of the things is, I guess, with Mental Health Day coming up and some of the challenges, especially with COVID, and we recognize that there's even more people needing that support for their mental well-being, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I actually have a Calgary number. So working for an Edmonton-based organization, I do have a Calgary number. So I don't know, Lisa, if you can put that up in the comments.
I
So
actually already have it in the description.
it's
So
already in there. Great. So definitely you can give me a call. You can send an email.
that's in the description too.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the easiest ways to contact me. And I will do my best to get back to you right away. And if a phone conversation is what you need, if you need somebody just to listen to you, I'm there.
And really if you are from Calgary and you know that you really need some support, those one-on-one sessions are 45 minutes just for you. And initially, we use the CSNAT tool to determine where's the area that you need the most support. But what's the really cool thing is then we build out a specific plan for you. And we go at your level of where you're at, and just to help you to have that safe place. And I need to mention really quickly, because we have about 4 minutes left here, but I need to mention you're now taking the Compass program.
Yes.
And
Yes,
what are you thinking of it so far?
You know what? It is a really good program for actually focusing on you as a caregiver and what are your needs. Because so many programs that are out there, it's okay, this is how you help your loved one that's in this situation or that situation, but this is focused on you and your mental health and how to make you the best person you can be through this journey. And so I'm only in week 1 of it, but so far it's a great program.
Awesome. And I think that's really important to recognize that, because you've heard about the program before through Dementia Connection. And it was really interesting to see your perspective and see the challenges, even for you who has tools in your toolbox, to really go, oh, wait a minute. And you could see, and we did some exercises. And one of the ones that, if you're okay, I want to just kind of mention really quickly that we did is doing a body scan and actually feeling where tension is in your body. And one of the coolest things with that is when we recognize where it is, we can focus on having that and relax and then go back to what we need. But it's something to be able to move through that part of a mental well-being is having this body scan. Because if we can actually recognize that we can relax those muscles, it can make a significant difference based on the trauma that we've been through. And just doing it, and I'm because how many times did it get brought up and we did body scans in our Compass group?
Oh, probably at least 4 times over the hour and a half that we were there. It was, it's like, and everybody in the group was the same. It's like, we're all getting there. We're all feeling our experiences.
Right. And it's because it's really hard to look inwards at ourselves and really spend that quality time with ourselves and putting tools in the toolbox to make ourselves better, to look after our care recipient. I want to thank you so much for taking this time today and checking out and introducing yourself to caregivers out there. We actually have lots of wonderful people from all over the province and even outside of the province that get to watch these. So it's really a wonderful tool and opportunity. But just to remind everybody, Karen is the new caregiver coach in Calgary. She is there to provide you resources. If you need resources, she's there for one-on-one sessions. So if you really just feel like you need that time, it's 45 minutes you get to spend with her. We also have our peer groups, and those run 2 times a week. And once we get Karen all trained up, I'm pretty confident we'll be actually starting to facilitate more of those peer groups, because they are such an important piece. And it's really important that you actually have relationships and meet other caregivers, even though their illness or disability or their journey is different. I promise you there's similarities.
Yes, for sure. And that's a huge thing that I think everybody recognizes, is being a caregiver is a hard job and we need to support each other.
Right. So thank you so much. Again, if you guys have any questions out there in our Caregiver Connections world and who have watched, please make comments in the questions. And Karen will go back in through if you have questions about her trip to Nepal, the dementia connection in Calgary, or you want to reach out to her, please do. She is here to support you, and as are the whole team here at Caregivers Alberta. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Please find something that brings you joy this weekend and be grateful for just that little piece of joy. And it doesn't have to be big. I know that we have people go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do for something to bring us joy? It can be as small as sipping on a cup of tea. So you all have a wonderful weekend. And Karen, I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Lisa.